we're gonna run through the divisional games.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go in order of
We're not
like
we're not gonna
chronological.
yeah, we're not gonna elaborate too much on here because I think I rather elaborate in a recap than a prediction. Uh,
Yeah,
so yeah, we have our X factors here and our predictions. We're not gonna touch too much on it to be honest because we've gone long already. So
yeah. It's
uh,
already a good one. We got
yeah,
a good one.
we got a good one brewing here. I'm excited for this. So you start rattling it off.
Yeah, Texans at the Chiefs over at Arrowhead this weekend. Obvious X factor for me on the offensive end is going to be playoff Mahomes. On the defensive side of the ball, I'm looking at Chris Jones and George Karlaftis for the Chiefs. If they can get to C.J. Stroud, I think that'll really put them over the edge. I think the fans will put them over the edge, and if the offense gets clicking in the playoffs like they usually do, it'll be Chiefs win. I'm predicting Chiefs win 23-17.
Did you look at my prediction?
No,
I said 23-17 too.
if it's actually 23-17,
Dude,
we're
no
posting
way.
that clip on every platform. TikTok,
That's
Twitter,
actually
YouTube.
ridiculous. All right.
Yeah.
So my X factor for the Chiefs, I'm not gonna do. I did either or side of the ball, so I'll have one or two because I kind of indecisive here. The Chiefs, it was clear for me. It's Isaiah Pacheco. They were not able to get him going back from the injury. The struggles on the offensive line and the movement for the Chiefs was very apparent. They're starting Joe Tooney at left tackle, which is definitely the right move for this game. But yeah, Pacheco's got 7 straight career games with 75 plus scrimmage yards in the playoffs. The NFL record is 9. So if they make the Super Bowl again, there's a very good chance he could actually break that record. He's never lost in the postseason, and he's had time off finally. Hopefully they can get him going. My X factors for the Texans are Daniil Hunter and/or Will Anderson. I cited the Chiefs' tackle problems. Tooney starting at tackle is the right move because of Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. Um, that gives me a little more confidence in the Chiefs that they're not planning Kingsley Suamataia or DJ Humphreys or Wanya Morris on one of those guys. So yeah, the Texans defense needs to show up like it did against the Chargers. The offensive effort is questionable because the Chiefs defense is just so good. Um, but yeah, if one of those guys can make a big game changing play, I think the Texans could hang around. So those are my X
Yeah.
factors, and then obviously we know my prediction already.
Yeah. 23-17. There we go. Commanders at Detroit. This one I think is the most second most exciting matchup
Should be
this season.
fireworks. Should be fireworks.
It should be fireworks. Um I think it's a little closer. I think Commanders can compete more than people are giving them credit for. Uh, with that being said, I do think Detroit's got it. Um, I think the X factors is going to be Jaden Daniels for Washington, Jameer Gibbs for Detroit on the offensive side, and for Detroit, I think Brian Branch is going to be an X factor. I think defense is what's going to hold up down the line as it gets to the wire, and I have Detroit winning 35-24.
I similar vein here with Detroit's defense for me. I I said the X factor would be the Lions pass rush, guys like Zadarius Smith, a couple other guys they brought in. I think Alquid Muhammad plays like pretty significant snaps. He's been okay for them. They need to get to Jaden Daniels. They also need to not like overrun Jaden Daniels. They need to contain Jack Campbell. Who do they spy on Daniels? Because you probably can't put a linebacker. I know Campbell's really athletic.
Mhm.
It might have to be a DB. Maybe Brian Branch assumes that role for a couple possessions just because stopping Jaden Daniels out of the pocket is that important. Um, my X factors for Washington, I said weapons not named Terry McLaurin. Brian Robinson had like 10 rushing yards. Diami
Yes.
Brown had a huge game against the Bucks, and that's really important. You got Zach Ertz. Zacchaeus had a nice little stretch at the end of the year.
Mhm.
Uh, Luke McCaffrey, big play maybe. I don't know. Austin Eckler. Like there's guys that can be put in spots to succeed, but the only guys you can really count on are Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
And Detroit's defense. If there's a question about Detroit, it's their defense. So that's where Washington would have to take advantage. I also wanted to say Bobby Wagner or like Frankie Louvu. I saw on Twitter people were like 36-year-old Bobby Wagner against Jameer Gibbs, like kind of like antagonizing that question of
Yeah,
this old cagey vet against an electric spark plug like Jameer. But it's really important because Detroit does want to win running the ball. And if you can slow that down, make Jared Goff pass, you give yourself a fighting chance. Now,
yeah.
Goff could still throw for 400 yards, but, that is what it is. My prediction, Lions 38, Commanders 28.
We're pretty like we're right there with these predictions. A 35-24 is what I said. 38-28, I think you said.
Yeah.
That's we're we're, we're pretty close on these. We're agreeing. I think one of the big things for the Lions too is going to be looking to the next week or even for a possible Super Bowl run is the possible return of David Montgomery.
Yes, that would be big.
That would be huge.
What you know about
Um,
Craig Reynolds anytime touchdown? I hate
what are the odds on
I
that one,
I hate
man?
sports books, bro.
Yeah, yeah. They shout out. I don't know. I don't know who to shout out on that one. Shout out AJ Brown. Shout out AJ Brown because the Eagles host the Los Angeles Rams, and I'm predicting a big game for him. I think it's either AJ Brown or Saquon as the X factor, and I think it'll be AJ Brown because Sean McVay is going to almost overcommit to the run after what Saquon did to the Rams
Yeah.
last time. 300 total yards and 2 touchdowns last time they played the Rams. Uh, again, I would actually say the O line for the Eagles is the biggest X factor, but
Fair.
that's not here nor there. I would say that Jalen, AJ. I think AJ Brown has at least 1 touchdown, um, just because of all of the media coverage surrounding the whole AJ Brown. Every time this happens, AJ Brown pops off
Yep.
next game, and I bet you we're gonna see Jalen throw the ball 25 to 30 times this Sunday. On the defensive side of the ball, I like Zach Bond. How can he step up as a linebacker? Will drop back in coverage, maybe help out with Puka, maybe just have a mid zone to cover. But also Cooper DeJean, who's going to be on Cooper Cup. We can't let Cooper Cup get hot mid game, and you can't have Puka Nakua kill you either. Can't have Kyron Williams. Quinion needs to step up. And those are the three biggest X factors for the Rams. Cup, Puka, Kyron Williams. Overall, I think if any defense is up for that task right now after a big win against Minnesota, I think it would be this defense. And I think the Birds win it 27-17.
Speaking of anytime touchdown, what do you know about Davis Allen anytime touchdown? Uh,
This guy. Oh
no
my
one,
god.
no one had that on a slip anywhere. Um,
Yeah.
so I think the Eagles, the game the Eagles played against the Rams earlier in the year was arguably their best overall performance of the season.
Yeah.
Um, you could definitely argue it. I mean, you could maybe say the score wasn't as close as the game was because Saquon had those two rippers in the fourth quarter, but
Disgusting.
they they
Disgusting.
they still, they had him out of arm's reach for the entirety of the game really. My X factor for the Eagles, I touched on it earlier. With the Nakobe Dean injury, I'm saying Nolan, who just had his best career game, or C.J.
Yeah.
Gardner Johnson, because I think you can just move him around. Um, I'm a little questionable on Reed Blankenship right now.
Reed
Uh,
Blankenship didn't have a great game against them.
nah, he really did not. The tackling was not great from him. And you got guys that are hard to tackle on this team. Cooper Cup, I know he's aging and he's been injured. Puka Nakua wants to run through your face. And Kyron Williams, that's his entire game is predicated on that. And you struggled against Josh Jacobs, who also wants to do the exact same thing. So yeah, those are my X factors for the Eagles on defense. And then the Rams, I'm. We also touched on it earlier. It's a front seven against this Eagles offensive line.
Mhm.
Kobe Turner, dog on the inside. Byron Young, good complementary piece next to Kobe Turner on the inside. You can move him, you can flex him out too. And then Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, those Florida State spark plugs in the pass rush game. It's big. It's really big. Can you pressure Jalen and force Saquon to beat you? If you're forcing Saquon to beat you, I don't know if you're letting up 270-yard touchdown runs again. Maybe you are.
Yeah.
Maybe you are. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I think if you can just keep the Eagles passing game out of rhythm, you definitely give yourself a fighting chance. So
I do
my
not envy Sean McVay this week.
I
He's
do
gonna
not
have
either. I
a
really don't either.
lot on his plate.
I know the weather's cold. My prediction's 31-23 still. Give me the
Okay,
Eagles.
there we go. Go
If you,
birds.
if you chip that down to 21-13, I also wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. That's why I say like 27-17. I think that's what we'll be looking at. It'll
Yeah.
be interesting to see how the Rams do in a snow game because it snowed here in Philly last night as I was walking to the Liacouras Center. Um, it got a nice blanket of snow on the streets and on the grass and stuff. So apparently it's going to be a lot more of that on Sunday. So it
Oh,
should be pretty snowy.
also, this kind of just hit me. This is a scary Jake Elliott game.
Yes.
Like this is a really scary Jake Elliott game. Score touchdowns is kind of the bottom line for me.
Yeah. If like anything over 30 yards has been iffy for Jake. Hopefully
This guy
it's
thinks he's
not.
Burt Auburn all of a sudden. Like, come on, dude.
Oh my God. He's the guy with the hair on Texas, right?
Yup. Yup.
Man, I remember when he missed that kick against Arizona State. I thought Arizona State was gonna win that game like 10 different.
I know. I know.
Terrible, terrible outcome. But we're not talking about Arizona State. We're talking about Ravens going to Buffalo. And
Yes.
this I think is going to actually be absolute cinema. Just point blank period. This game is gonna be a movie. Um, you have two guys who have been playing at MVP level all season. Those are the top two guys right there. I think Lamar should win it, but that's not here nor there. Those are the top two guys for MVP. They've been consistently like that for a couple of years. Their teams have been great. They've played great, but they come up just short in the playoffs. Now, Josh Allen's gotten closer than Lamar has, but that doesn't even give you a fair picture of what Lamar gone through in the playoffs. He's come pretty close to great runs, but it just falls apart. A couple first round exits. And the obvious X factors are going to be the quarterbacks. Which one of these MVP candidates can stay hot and have a bigger impact on the game? But I think I'll take Greg Russo as the defensive X factor for the Bills. Can he chase down Lamar? How do they contain Lamar? How do they contain just especially like I mentioned in the other segment we were talking about, if they start doing RPOs or read op, any kind of option play, how do you contain that? And I think this game goes to overtime, and I think the Bills win it 38-31,
That's a fire prediction. Uh,
or actually it'd be 37-31 because you don't kick the PAT.
or
37-30.
well, actually, the playoff overtime rules are different, which is really
You're
stupid.
right.
So
You're
yeah, you
right.
could still be
Right.
right. You could still be right. I my X factor for the Ravens is either Marlon Humphrey, who thankfully they moved him back to the slot this year. He had about like 1 year where he forced like 10 fumbles or something like that when they had him playing the slot the whole time. He's back to an all-pro level. He's been awesome this year. He will be matched up against Khalil Shakir, who probably the most consistent weapon on Buffalo.
Mhm.
You take that away in the passing game, that would be big for Baltimore's defense, which has gotten back where people expected in the beginning of the season. After they start off slow. Offensively for the Ravens, it's a complementary piece. It's Bateman. It's Likely. Likely had the huge game against the Chiefs to open up the year. Bateman's been really good this year. Finally had his breakout as that deep threat. You get Zay working underneath. You get Andrews the intermediate. You get Bateman working down the field. You get Likely the intermediate kind of deep threat as well. Um, I Henry's kind of a given. Lamar is I'm not going to say questionable in the playoffs, but he's had a couple not great games. He's
Mhm.
got the best cast he's ever had,
Yeah.
and they need to step up. So that's why I'm citing Bateman or Likely. And then for the Bills, since I mentioned the Marlon Humphrey Khalil Shakir matchup, I'm going to go opposite of that. I'm going to go Keon Coleman. Brandon
Mhm.
Stevens has not had a great year. I'm interested to see if they move Keon around at all. Maybe a little power slot action, get him running. He's been really good down the field. He's been solid contested catch rate. His contested catch rate in college was gross, in a good way. Uh, so he's going to be important for them. I projected him to have a huge season this year. He's been kind of hindered with injuries a little bit. He's going to be big for them. Keep it moving, get the chunk plays, especially if this becomes an offensive game. You're going to need the chunks. You just score way more when you get a play of 20 plus yards on your drive. Like your success rate goes through the roof. And
Mhm.
that's what he does. That's his game. And then on defense, we cited the play earlier when talking about the Ravens Steelers game, where Lamar attracts so much attention. I'm going Bills linebackers. I don't know if Matt Milano is back. Obviously, all pro caliber player is super important.
Mhm.
Dorian Williams and Terrell Bernard. I really like Terrell Bernard. I think he makes a lot of really big impact plays. Dorian Williams has been solid this year. You need those guys to show up and be good. You need them to stay at home. You mentioned Rousseau. You need the front to be solid as well. I'm going to keep an eye on those linebackers, what they do in coverage, what they do tracking Lamar. And my prediction is Ravens 27, Bills 24.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. It's gonna be a fun week. And before we move on, college, I want to ask you because my prediction, my preseason Super Bowl prediction, is still standing: Chiefs Eagles. So I'm gonna give you a second chance, a second life. Who do
uh,
you think makes the Super Bowl? What do you think the matchup will be?
I don't even want to be homer. Like I don't even think I'm being homerish. I just don't think I trust the Lions defense. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get the Eagles in there, and I'll do the bird. I'll do the bird Super Bowl. I'll do Eagles Ravens.
Ooh, I like this. Didn't you just predict the Bills to win?
No, I said Ravens.
You said Ravens win? Oh man, I
Yeah,
misheard you.
I'll do Ravens
I like
win the Super Bowl. Where's the Super Bowl being played?
Nola.
Okay, I figured.
New Orleans.
I'll go Ravens 31-24 in the Super Bowl
31-24.
over the
Wow.
Eagles.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
I have a second.
Interesting.
I've been
Interesting.
resurrected. I've been brought back from the dead.
Yep, you're back. I might have to kill you back on that prediction.
If CJ Stroud wins MVP, though, I need an insane amount of bonus points. If he somehow makes a Super Bowl and wins Super Bowl MVP, I need bonus points because that was my original
Yeah,
prediction.
that's true. That's true. I That'd be insane. That'd be insane.
That would be ridiculous.
We'll check in next week on how our predictions
Yeah.
go. That'll be exciting.